Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to my video blog. This one is going to be in honor of Black History Month. And I have to say that I'm fighting being angry, so I may curse. So if you are a PG or a G type of person, you might want to not listen to this one because I'm pissed. But here we go. Of course, February is Black History Month, where we celebrate our heroes and sheroes of the past. And we remember who we are and where we came from. I've been noticing on Facebook, a lot of people have been posting things about, like Rosewood, about the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, towns that were destroyed by angry white mobs. Fear of, with bigotry and hatred, destroying whole communities, killing black folks just at random. They're also posting on Facebook lynchings, a number of lynchings, horrible, horrible pictures of things that have happened in our past, of black men being hung, beaten, castrated, while a crowd of white children, families, parents, law enforcement officials all gather around and watch. If you know your history, a lot of people who were lynched were pulled out of jails, accused of crimes that they did not commit. Emmett Till was dragged out of a house visiting relatives down south, beaten to death, disfigured horribly, then his body dumped into a swamp. His mother, God bless her, decided to have an open casket so they can see what was done to her child. So this morning, I watched a clip from Good Morning America with the parents of Jordan Davis. If you don't know who Jordan Davis is, he was the young man that was killed in Florida by Michael Dunn, a 47-year-old white man who shot up their car because of loud music. Jordan's parents, to me, are a shining example of black parents. I don't know if I could have stood there with the same dignity and the sense of calm that they showed, talking about the fact that this man did not get convicted of murdering their son. That was a mistrial. There were actually people on the jury who felt that it was indeed self-defense. How they thought it was self-defense is beyond me. They talked about following the letter of the law. How about following what's right? That makes a difference. What's right? Do right and honor the memory of Jordan Davis by putting this guy under the jail for a brutal murder because he heard loud rap music, rap crap, and saw a car full of thugs. Rap crap, thugs are all code words that the white community uses to demonize our children. So I talked about lynchings and how people are upset about those lynchings. I say fuck you because that's our history. I say fuck you because it is still happening. It is our very recent history. Jordan Davis was lynched. He was lynched with a bullet. Trayvon Martin was lynched. He was lynched with a bullet. These young men who were guilty of nothing but being black were murdered. Murdered by non-blacks. George Zimmerman, people will cry, well, he wasn't white, he was Hispanic. But I bet you damn sure that he used the white privilege that his father and having his father's blood afforded him most of his life. And he only embraced that Latin descent when he found it useful to bolster his argument and who he was, that he wasn't racist. But he too had the same ideas and mentalities that Michael Dunn had, that black people are thugs, that they are animals, that they always get away with it. These were words that both Dunn and Zimmerman used about black children who never did anything to them. And the key is they were children. They were children. They were minor children. Gunned down because they were black. Now, usually my vlogs are about trans issues, but this segues into that quite simply because as a black man, as a black person, as a father, I have 2 sons. One is grown. He and his woman have blessed me with a beautiful granddaughter. Hello, Samaya. I love you, baby. I have a teenage son as well. So I could be Jordan Davis's parents. I can be Trayvon Martin's parent. I could be sitting in their shoes right now because someone was afraid of my son. You know, my 6'2", 145 pound, skinny as a bone son, but he's black. He shares my skin. He shares the skin that I carry. And so he is a threat. I'm tired and I'm angry. I'm angry because I hear black folks talk about civil rights, and they talk about the fact that when they talk about civil rights issues, that trans women of color or gay people shouldn't be afforded civil rights. How dare you? How dare you look at another marginalized piece of society and decide, just like the white folks who said you were 3/5 of a human being, who enslaved you, who made Jim Crow laws, making you separate and far from equal. How dare you follow behind them blindly, following their religion, which enslaved you, which allowed you to be beaten and raped, and follow their religious dogma and throw your own children out in the streets simply because they're trans or simply because they're gay. These are your children. And then these same children, these trans women of color, are out there being killed and beat more than any other piece of society right now. No other piece of society. Yes, Jordan Davis was brutally murdered. His friends were shot at. Yes, Trayvon Martin was murdered. But there's a long number of trans women of color who have been brutally murdered time after time after time in the very, very recent past. CeCe McDonald went to jail. Yeah, she copped a plea. She was in Minnesota because she felt she couldn't get a good trial when she was attacked, hit over the head with a bottle because she was walking down the street with her friends, attacked by a known bigot and white supremacist, but they didn't allow them to bring that information into the courtroom. So not only was she black, she was trans. She didn't deserve life. She didn't deserve to be safe within her own shoes. Then you have Elon Nettles, who was beaten in front of a police station in Harlem. Paris Green was caught with blood on his hands. He was caught with blood, her blood, on his hands. And that motherfucker is walking free. How? And no one has been arrested for it? No one has been tried for it? Come on. Come on. You want me to go further down the line? In Cleveland, a few days apart, Selena Dove and Brittany Sturgis were both murdered. Trans women of color. They were also misgendered horribly, called a man, pretending to be a woman, and things of that nature. Nobody cares. Yeah, there have been some successful trials, where people have been convicted. Amanda Gonzalez was murdered in Los Angeles. The gentleman who was, I don't have his name, who was convicted of her murder, his lawyer argued the fact that she was an important enough person for his client to be given such a long sentence. She wasn't important. She wasn't anyone that society valued. I'm not making it up. Look it up. There was a young lady here in Metro Detroit that was killed, Shelley Hilliard. I believe the only reason why her killers were found was because, if I understand correctly, she was working as a police informant and they decided that they better find out who killed her. But there are plenty of other trans women of color who get murdered, beat, and brutalized every day. And yet, nothing is done. Someone posted in my Facebook group that their boyfriend doesn't think that gay rights, and by that trans rights, aren't civil rights issues. Brother, you need help, because my woman happens to be trans. She has the right to go to work, to go to school, to go to the grocery store, and be safe. And not to have the police go, oh, well, she was trans. Big deal. If you don't think your woman deserves that right, why in the fuck are you with her? I mean no harm and I mean no disrespect. But at the end of the day, civil rights are for everyone, regardless if you're trans, gay, straight, black, or white. As a black person, we should be fighting for everyone, because we are still fighting for ourselves. It should have been an open and shut case with Jordan and Trayvon. It should have been, but it wasn't. When are you going to stop drinking the Kool-Aid that we live in a colorblind society? We don't. We don't live in a colorblind society. And we definitely don't live in a society where the life of trans women of color are valued. I'm tired and I'm angry. I want it to stop. And I'm going to continue to speak out. I'm going to continue to be a voice. Because there aren't too many people, especially men who sleep with trans women, who are in relationships, trans attracted men, as I say, trans feminine attracted men. They don't stand up. They're invisible. Some people get angry with me because I say, well, it's a little bit of cowardice involved, but I'm speaking from experience because I was there. I was at a point where I was ashamed of who I was and who I was involved with. Until we men stand up and stand behind these women, we are just as much to blame as everyone else who ignores them. I'm going to say it again to every man out there who dates a trans woman. If you don't stand up, you're just as bad as everybody else. You know, you can say, I'm worried about what people will think. At the end of the day, I'm a grown-ass man, and I'm not worried about what you think. Because I'm going to fight for my sons, and for my woman, and for my friends. And I am going to continue to do so. I love you. Peace.